Hi everyone, welcome to After Class,
a podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
and some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
Or a cup of coffee.
and join us for a quick chat after class.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of After Class. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about tips to help you thrive and reach your goals in 2025. So we are going to be recapping some of our best tips from episodes this year. So let's get into it.
I love this episode. I think it's going to be exciting because first we're going to go into what everyone actually loved the most. So these are the top episodes that we have for the last year. And I will say that the first one is set smart goals for each quarter of this year for you to challenge yourself. Yeah. What does smart goals means? We already talked about it before in the episode. However, I'm going to remind you. It's going to be specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant. If you just make sure that when you're going to set goals for the next year, first go to quarters, just the first 3 months, and make it as relevant, as achievable as possible for you. Don't get too elaborate, don't get too crazy. Maybe your goal is just to be able to stand over one leg flat, not even your releve, but balancing over one leg. So you just start just by doing these simple 4 steps, smart goals. That will be a perfect way to start the year, and you will see a lot of improvement immediately.
Yeah, I think, like you said, goals are such a great way to make sure that you are really getting the most out of a time span. And I think it's easy to look at a year and kind of feel like, where do I even begin? And I think, like you said, breaking it into quarters is a really great way to set goals in smaller increments. And using that SMART acronym will really help you hone in on your goals so that they're not just these kind of general statements of like, oh, I just want to get better at my pirouettes, doing things like
Exactly.
I want to have clean single pirouettes most of the time because no one's going to have perfect all the time. So again, setting goals that are attainable, things that are realistic, that'll really help you thrive in the coming year. I'm actually really excited to work on my goals for 2025. I haven't sat down yet and done it, but I will definitely be using this principle of the SMART acronym to help me be my goals too. And if you want to go back and listen to a full episode on this, the episode that we talked about this was based on the book Atomic Habits. We used a lot of the principles in that book to talk about the best way to set goals. So we will link all of the episodes that these tips are from in the show notes. You can go back and listen to the full episode that each of these are taken from. So second tip, what would you say was the second really good one from this year?
This one was really interesting for everyone and even for me, which I wasn't really well informed on this type of topics related to ballet, and it was prioritizing proteins and hydration while training. And this episode, it was pretty interesting. And actually, I wasn't able to come to the interview because I had to work and I was really busy, but I listened afterwards to the podcast. And oh my God, the amount of things and information that we don't have that is so relevant for athletes, dancers, and especially when we are adults.
Yeah, I loved recording that episode. That was the one with Tavine, who's a registered dietitian. And I think that was actually a 2-part episode. If you haven't listened to those, you should definitely go back because she is so knowledgeable and so passionate. And she talked a lot about protein and the importance of protein for recovery, specifically with our muscles. And she gave a lot of really good information about nutrition, specifically for athletes, dancers, people that are, doing a lot of physical activity in the week, which as ballet dancers, most of us are. So that was a really good one. I learned a lot from that too, and we'll definitely be trying to apply those in 2025, really trying to stay on top of protein intake and hydration specifically, because I definitely feel a difference when I am eating more protein and when I'm staying hydrated, drinking a lot of water. I feel the difference. And so sometimes it's just easy with the busyness of life to let those things kind of slip a little bit, but that's definitely going to be a goal for me and will definitely help you feel your best in 2025 if you do those things.
And it's knowing the difference between eating too much versus eating what you actually need, what your body actually needs for the next hour and a half. Like I feel sometimes, and I'm pretty sure that lots of adults are like, oh my God, class is 5:30 p.m. What do I do? Do I have dinner first? Do I have dinner after? Do I have a good snack? What do I eat that I don't feel too heavy, that I don't feel too bloated?
Yeah, very practical that episode. Like you said, it was like very practical questions of what types of things should I eat before a class versus after a class. So I really liked that about those episodes is that it wasn't just kind of vague general information. It was very specific things that you can apply now.
That's number two. Like these two episodes are top two episodes from 40 something episodes that we already posted. So that means that a lot of people did actually found that useful. And lots of people are asking and wondering the same. What do we eat before versus after training? What do you think would be the third topic or tip or episode that was like right there on the top this year?
I mean, we talked about this concept generally in a few episodes, but I think specifically one way to really feel like you are thriving in your training in 2025 is wearing clothing that makes you feel your best in class. Like it's funny because this has come up a couple times lately, even in my in-person class, where some of the adult dancers that maybe used to wear just leggings and a t-shirt, which there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you feel your best in, that's what you should wear. But some of them have started to transition into wearing tights and leotards and skirts and just commenting on how it makes them really feel the part coming into class. And that's something that I definitely experienced. I know we talked about that in an episode at the very beginning when we first started recording. I think it was like episode number 2 or 3. And then we also talked about that when we had Sarah on from Tutu List, which is a great place to get your ballet clothing, your leotards, all skirts, all those things. You can do some great secondhand shopping on a budget on that website on tutulist.com. But I think that's a great way to kind of level up your training and to go into the new year really ready to feel like you're thriving is to just be really mindful about wearing things that make you feel good coming into the studio, that make you feel confident, that make you feel pretty. I think that's a really important thing that sometimes we overlook.
Exactly. And it doesn't need to be expensive, the latest brands that you need to buy. But I think it's definitely a great way to get into that mood. And especially when you start the new year, to just get like one or two new leotards with a little skirt that you can mix and match with both leotards and just start your year with that. Perfect.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great way to start the new year. So, what would be our fourth tip for thriving in the new year?
Something that is been always on the top of our episode is that episode that we recorded about creating a 5 minutes warm-up routine that can address a personal goals or personal problem areas. Yeah. And sometimes we get to the ballet class, and I do most of the time a good warm up. The first two exercises of a bar class are good warm ups, but they're so general and they're just for everyone. So it will be really good if you make sure once you finish writing your SMART goals, just write down a quick warm up that you felt that worked for you.
And I think if you don't really know where to begin, starting somewhere like YouTube and taking a few different warm ups and then pulling the exercises that felt really good for you specifically to kind of craft your individualized routine. I know that's essentially what I've done. I have a kind of a set warm up routine of a few exercises that I just know that I want to do before class starts. And they're just a combination of exercises that I've kind of pulled from different places when I've taken a YouTube class or worked in person with a trainer of things where I'm like, oh, that feels really good on my low back because for me, that's an area that has been problematic. And so I really like to make sure my low back is warmed up. So there's a couple exercises that I just really like and feel really good for me. And so I added those into my little 5 minute routine. So I think if you don't know where to start, just notice the exercises either that your teacher gives or that you've done on YouTube that feel really good for you and write them down in a notebook and just have a little routine that you can reference. Because sometimes I think if we come into class and we're a little bit frazzled, especially if it's in person and in the moment you're like, oh, I know I need to warm up, but I'm not really sure what to do. If you have a little routine written down and then eventually kind of memorized, it makes it really easy to just have a go-to warm up that, like you said, kind of addresses your specific little problem areas. And feeling really well warmed up before class is definitely a way to feel like you're thriving in the new year, thriving in your classes. Because I know for me, like, if I don't feel really warmed up prior to starting class, it's like I feel like I spend the first 15 minutes of class just needing to get my body in a good place. But if I start class already feeling that way, I feel like I get so much more out of the entire class and can really start moving at a full range of motion a lot sooner. And that's a really nice feeling. So I think that was a really good episode as well to go back and listen to.
Definitely. The next episode that is right at the top and good tips that we gave came from incorporating cross training into your weekly schedule. Meaning, don't just trust on the ballet lessons to get stronger and to get the technique that you need. You need to do a little bit of cross training. So, talk about that a little bit more, Hannah, from your personal experience.
Incorporating cross training is so important because ballet in particular is a very repetitive type of movement. You know, we tend to move our bodies in the same ways. We're doing a lot of the same steps. We're doing everything turned out. So even just that fact alone, like we need to be doing things that are also turned in parallel, working our other muscles that we're not utilizing in ballet because, as I said, ballet tends to be very repetitive and a very set way of moving. And it's easy to overtrain certain muscles or certain parts of our body and neglect other parts. And so for me, I've just found that cross training is such a great way to keep balance in my body. It's also a great way to build strength for having more power for things like jumps in class, adding weight, because obviously when we're doing ballet classes, we're not doing anything with weights, but in cross training, adding weight, doing things like with a kettlebell, ankle weights, arm weights, whatever, it's a great way to build strength that can only help you have more power for your ballet classes, more stability, more strength.
Could be anything. It could be totally anything. So it doesn't need to go, oh my God, now I need to buy a membership to the gym next year. Nope. That's not the case. Yeah, cross training could be anything that works different areas of your body in the same way that you need it for ballet.
I think one of the things that I realized this year is that there are certain things that I want to improve in ballet that just doing more ballet is not going to address. Sometimes you have to do something totally different to achieve the thing that you want to be better at in ballet. And like, I really am realizing this with power for jumps. Like, I want to have more powerful jumps next year. Like, I want to get off the ground higher, faster, all the things. And just doing more Grand Allegro isn't going to achieve that necessarily. It's not the best way, I don't believe. I don't think it's the fastest way. And so doing cross training for things that are really going to build strength, adding weight in, doing, things like squats, different things like that, that's what's going to give you the results, not just doing more ballet. So I just think it's such a necessary thing to incorporate if you really want to reach your goals in the new year.
Yeah.
There's just certain things that you just cannot achieve without cross training, in my opinion. So
Definitely. But it's like everything. Take it on writing. You don't get good at writing just by writing. You need to read, you need to do this, you need to supplement with different other technique. It's not just writing and that's it. I'm gonna be a writer because I'm going to sit down and write. No, it's the same with ballet. You're not gonna get good at ballet just by doing ballet and that's it. You need to find external tools that are going to make the whole thing one, right?
yeah. So what would you say for tip number 6?
Supplementing your training with free YouTube classes. YouTube has so much good content for tailored for every age, for every level. To just slowly, I think like slowly you will learn what works for you, what is actually good content, what isn't. It's not all about the quality of the video, it's about the quality of the teacher that is teaching. And That's how
Yeah.
Hannah and we met. That's how
Yeah.
we met.
Yeah, that is actually how we met, is because I did your classes on YouTube, which were lovely, and people should definitely check out your channel specifically for free YouTube classes. It's a great place to get those to supplement your training. I think in the episode that we did that was all about getting the most out of YouTube classes, we talked about this. YouTube classes can be a really great way to practice and work on the feedback that you're getting in live classes. And so, talking about ways to really thrive in 2025, that's a great tip, is using those free YouTube classes to implement and practice the feedback that you're getting, because obviously none of us has an infinite budget for classes. And so at some point you might say, okay, I can only afford to take 3 in-person classes a week, but you can take a couple more free YouTube classes to work on the
Yeah.
corrections that you're getting in those classes. And that's a great way to accelerate your progress and to meet your goals faster in the new year, is to use that free resource to really expand your training and be working on things at home and not necessarily having to wait for your next live class.
Yeah. And I don't know, in YouTube, like if you start with my channel, I have like 5 different videos on how to do a simple pirouette. I have 5 different videos on how to do fuetes or allegros. And I'm saying me, obviously, because I know what I posted there. But like me, there is other ballet teachers that have done exactly the same. So you go to your class and you grand allegros are not working for some reason, then find the step, find the explanation, and then you might be able to improve that grand allegro just by knowing what the step comes from. And you use YouTube, you were at home, and you can always go back to it. And you can pause, you can fast forward, and it's pretty great for supplementary training.
I think too, one of the things I really appreciate about YouTube is that there are things that I either forgot to ask in class or like felt like I couldn't ask in class. You know, if you're taking a class that feels a little bit above your level and you're like embarrassed to ask a certain question, chances are if you look on YouTube, you will be able to find an answer to that. Like when I came back to ballet as an adult, I remember being so confused by all the body positions of like écarté, effacé, croisé. And I found a video that slowly and methodically just broke down the body positions. And it was life changing for me in that moment to be able to go back into the classroom, the in person setting, and feel like I actually knew what the heck was going on when they were giving directional cues. And so I think that's a great way to use YouTube to reach your full potential and reach your goals in 2025, is asking it the questions to kind of fill in your knowledge gaps. All right, so you're ready for the last tip?
This is a very good tip. Record yourself. And now that you're going to start the new year, record the first week of classes and then wait until the end of the year. And if you remember, we will remind you, just record the last class of this upcoming year. I think it's a great way to prove to yourself that if you trust in the process, hard work pays off and you will see the improvement.
Yeah, I think if you are not someone who has recorded up to this point, definitely between now and the end of the year, make it a point to record yourself and try to just record yourself semi consistently over 2025. And if you record yourself once a week or once a month, it's so great to have those videos to look back on because you can really see improvement. I think sometimes it's hard to notice improvement in ourselves, specifically with ballet, because it's so difficult and there's always so many things to work on, that I think we struggle sometimes to give ourselves credit for how far we have come, because all we're thinking about is the 20 things that we still need to work on. And so it can almost feel like you're never getting better, I think, sometimes. But filming yourself is a really good way to see your improvement in the long run. And in the moment, it's a really good way to have very clear feedback about what your body is actually doing. I think sometimes things can feel a certain way and then you see a recording and you're like, "Oh." So I think recording yourself is a really great way to thrive in your
Yeah.
dancing in 2025, because you're getting immediate feedback and you're also getting something in the long term to compare yourself to. And both of those things are really, really valuable for achieving your goals. We believe in you. We're going to work on setting our own goals.
One of my goals would be to keep my baby alive.
I think you're going to do even better than just keeping your baby alive. I think the baby's going to thrive.
Oh gosh, then the next goal will be making a ballet dancer. That is not an option in this house.
Hopefully he really likes it because Lord knows we need more male dancers.
Yeah, exactly. We definitely do. So this has been lovely. I can't express how amazing it's been to go over our podcast website and see the top episodes.
I think the last time I checked, we had almost 5,000 downloads, and that's not including the YouTube views. So I think adding a YouTube, that's probably a couple thousand more just from YouTube alone. So it's been really fun to see the progress, to hear from you guys. Please always feel free to reach out via email. We've got some fun emails from people. We absolutely love that, and it kind of gives us the inspiration and motivation to keep going. So we welcome the feedback, but it has been a really fun year. This is going to be our last podcast of 2024, I think, when it goes up, right?
We are coming with good news and new vibes, and we are coming up maybe with the new styles next year.
Yeah. Some updates to the look and feel, some special guests that we're really excited to have. And please, too, this would be a great time to send in if you have any requests for topics, because we are going to be doing some planning. Any suggestions, any requests, we would love to hear them. Thank you guys for your support in 2024. It's really meant a lot.
Love you all, and we will see you next year. Thank you for listening to After Class.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.